There's a lesson in every lesson. And we can either look at it as a curse, or we can look at it as a blessing. A blessing and a curse is the exact same energy, flipped. If you don't understand, it becomes your burden.
That's right.
Once you understand and appreciate, it becomes your blessing.
Right.
And it's your freedom.
Absolutely.
It frees you. So the second thing I wanted to build on before we move forward was on on the carrying of burdens. So I read a couple of days ago, this psychologist had gone into a seminar and she was carrying a glass of water. So she had held a glass of water up that was half full or half empty, however you want to look at it, and everybody expected her to say, is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? But she didn't. She took a different approach, what I found to be very, very illuminating for me, and I wanted to share it in relation to carrying past things and even current energies. She held it up and said, how much does this glass weigh? And you got all different answers from 8 ounces to 20 ounces. And she said, well, the actual weight of the glass does not matter. Because if I hold this glass for a few minutes and put it down, it has no bearing, no weight bearing where it causes me any discomfort. I can lift this and drink this with ease. Mm-hmm. But if I held this glass up for an hour, the weight hasn't changed, but the way it feels to me has changed. My arm may now be feeling an ache and a strain on my shoulder. If I held that all day, my arm would be paralyzed. There would be an obstruction in my ability to even move because I've held that. This is very likened to not just, the water and physical things, but this is what happens when we can't carry anxieties, worries, good or bad thoughts has the same effect. So remember, her comment was, remember to put the glass down. So for me, I started thinking, wow, okay, obviously she was focusing more on the anxiety and the worry because this is a stress seminar.
Right.
But I want to think about what I shared earlier about the neural pathways and the creation of habit and the alchemical process that's happening in our brain to make that very real in our existential reality or experiential reality. So what does that mean for positive thoughts? We should hold positive things the way that we're tending to naturally hold on to negative things. Put the negative things down and hold what's positive. Then what's positive will become heavier or denser in our reality, and we will have more positive experiences.
I love that. And even as you were talking, I was thinking about how we relate to one another. What you want, I'm a firm believer, what you want, it's important for you to give that. Mm-hmm. What you want back. And so if you want someone to honor your feelings, then you have to give that back. And you want to be respected, you have to be prepared to give respect.
Absolutely.
One of the things, young people say, and I'm trying to not allow it to irk me as much as it has in the past, but they have this whole respect factor. Like, yeah, he better respect me. He's not respecting me. And I told my children, one of my children came up with that one day, and I was like, nobody owes you respect. Respect is something that is earned. And so if you want to be respected, then you give respect back. Exactly what you want from this person is what you have to be prepared to give. Because for every action, there is an equal or an opposite reaction. And so when you talk about energy and energy being felt, and the frequency with which you transmit an emotion towards someone, that's going to be felt. And so they're either going to react the same way or they're going to have an opposite reaction, and there again comes choice. But one of the things I have found with regards to relationships, and this is whether it is a relationship of intimacy with my husband or with my children, that it is very important to honor the space where the person is. And we're not always going to understand the other person. We're not always going to understand why they operate from the space that they operate from. But one of the things that I have discovered through giving way to that, giving way to the desire to understand, not just to react to something based on a trigger that I'm dealing with, but giving way to understanding why this person is responding the way that they are. You come to understand that a lot of it, if not most of it, has nothing to do with you. It's stuff that they're dealing with. It's like we talked about before, it's residue that's there, it's emotional residue, it's baggage that they're carrying, and maybe they need help. You know, it's like you holding that glass. I like that analogy, because if you hold a glass for a long time and your hand becomes paralyzed, it might come to a place where you really want to put it down, but you can't even move your hand. So you need someone to help you. You need someone to take that glass out of your hand and rest it down for you, and maybe move your hand up and down. And this is the thing with relationships. We have to understand that, and we've heard this, I mean, for years I've heard this, that, you know, marriage is a give and take thing. You know, you have to be prepared to give, not just wanting to receive all the time. And, you know, sometimes it doesn't feel good. Sometimes it doesn't feel good being the one to sit down and take a deep breath and letting that person vent. You know, sometimes it doesn't feel good. But when you honor that person, when you respect that person, when you honor your contract, when you honor this relationship and what you've come together for, then it might be necessary sometimes for you to just sit down and say, you know what, I'm going to allow this right now. Allow them to get that out. And then later, if you need to talk about it, then talk about it. But you know, a lot of people in relationships, you know, it gets to the place and they're like, I just want it to be over. And one of the questions that has come up to me lately over the past couple of months is, do you want it over or do you want it better? What do you really want?
I think it's important in thinking about whether we want it over or not, or whether we want it better, to kind of dial back just a little bit. Only because I want to address what you were sharing about earning respect. I actually ascribe to a different paradigm when I think of that. And the reason for that is I see earning respect as, first of all, if we are truly moving in, and this is going to be a paradigm or paradox, but I see, if I'm truly acknowledging that you're an extension of me, and not just because it sounds like some airy-fairy new age thing to say, but if you truly honor the fact that you and I are one, we are of one body, then if I deserve respect, if I see that value in myself, regardless of how this person is behaving in the moment, how can I ever see them as not having deserved respect? For me, I look at it more as the divine design, because I'm in relationship with spirit always. You're in relationship with spirit always. I know how you live. So as my sister, I have that intimacy, that experience with how you dance with things.
Right.
So I'm just putting that out as an invitation to just let's explore that a little bit deeper. If I'm an extension of you and you're an extension of me, and we're dancing with spirit always, then people are simply mirrors, reflections, and catalysts for drawing the drama, or drawing up those toxins, if you will, those energetic toxins that are present in our experience. Because if everything is truly serving a purpose, and we're living from the point of it serving a purpose, then conscious connection or conscious awareness of dancing with that would not be in a protective mode, but in a place of allowance. So this is where we would hold space, where if this person is really acting out and we're really aware, allow them whatever they need to do, but then also gently invite them into, you know, what other choices might be available. But for me, if we say a person has to earn respect, then we stay in the 3D, the three-dimensional paradigm of duality, because duality is cause and effect. Right. Whereas fifth dimensional, even though those underlying synchronistic mechanisms are still present, they are not what is prominently present in that particular paradigm. The fifth dimension is about a unified dance. It's about that oneness. It's about everything happening simultaneously, so you don't see those things separately. You don't see the teaching and the learning separately. You don't see the giving and the receiving separately. You see it in a place of oneness. So if we are to adopt the higher perspective, then we are now being invited to take responsibility in acknowledging that someone else that is behaving in a lesser way, to not back to what you said, not to dance in the drama, not to be a part of the drama, but to utilize that drama in order to excrete or to release the toxins that are available. So if that comes up, that's a teaching moment for us. It's a loving moment for us. And that's one of the things that I wanted to touch on as far as relationships as a whole, not just our intimate relationships, but relationships as a whole. One of the things that we need to be aware of in a healthy relationship is holding space. And holding space is about being patient. It's about staying in a loving vibration, knowing that love heals,
Right.
love allows. And we have to consciously come back to that. It's only our flesh that draws us into these ego-based perspectives that says you didn't do this and you treated me like this, so I'm gonna treat you like this and you don't deserve this. If we are ascribing to a higher law, then what they do is irrelevant because they are not controlling us. They do not push a button that says, okay, for that button that I push, I get this reaction from them. You don't have that kind of power or control. You be in third person. No one external of us truly has that.
Right.
And when they do push those buttons, we have to look at that like an herb that has been brought into our system to bring up a spiritual crisis, a healing crisis, for us to either acknowledge that we're not a part of and hold for that to heal, or to look at ourselves. What is going on within me that this reflection is coming up for me to identify? It may not be profound. Maybe I'm only responding or acting out in 5% of that, but it has to come out magnified for me to see it. Because the more we evolve, the higher we achieve, the more difficult it is to see the things that we still need to correct.
And I love how you brought it all to a higher perspective, because that is what this program is about, rising above personal perception. And so we've been used to or conditioned to or been in a habit of looking at things from a particular perspective. And so even when I talk about the earning respect, that's, the thing that I used to say to my kids. And so of course now in practicing rising above personal perception myself, I do understand that it all comes back to the love space. So I love the way we were able to
illustrate
different perspectives there, because we understand that persons viewing this program are going to be at different places.
Absolutely.
At different levels. But what you said at the end was so key in the evolving process. And the more that we evolve, our perspective is going to change on things. We're going to have a more higher perspective, a more love perspective, a more pure perspective. Exactly. So I love the way you did that just now. And hopefully one of the things that people will understand in this program is that we are mirrors to one another. And so if there is something in you that is really irritating me, I need to take a step back and say, okay, what is it that Nye is reflecting back to me?
Right.
That's in me? What am I seeing in her? What am I seeing in this mirror? Because you are a projection of me. I am a projection of you. We are extensions. We're no different from one another. And this is the reason why a lot of people come into relationship with one another as souls, not looking at the physical part, but to really help us to evolve to that next level, to really help us to understand a lot of things about ourselves. And so when we come to a place where we truly honor the soul connection, not the physical, yeah, you look good, because, things droop, things that used to stand up, 10 years, 20 years don't stand up no more, and things that was in one place 20 years ago is in a different place, today. And so it has to come to a place where it goes beyond this physical exterior. That we really start asking the question, why is my soul connected to this person?